Hey everybody, welcome back to Natty Ice Gaming. This is Natty Ice, and I have a special guest with me today. As you all know, I do most of my videos on the XSAF Syria Dynamic server, and I've been part of this community for about 10 months now. Honestly, it was Growling Sidewinders, their video on the dynamic stuff that brought my attention to this group. I've been flying with these guys, they're great, they're fun, they're awesome, and it's all thanks to this one guy named Pravus. Pravus is, if I remember correctly, he's been working on it for about 30 months now, and it is just, it's a project. And I gotta give props to him. He's done a great job, and he makes it as fun as he can for the rest of us. And just working with the guys, I love it. But speaking of Pravus, I have him here with me today. Pravus, you want to say hi to everybody?
Hello. Hello,
So,
thanks for having me.
of course, man, I appreciate. We kind of were just talking about the videos I do and his work he's been doing, especially with changes and added features he's been trying to implement. And we thought it'd be a great idea to just sit down ever since Growing Sidewinder's video showcasing the server and kind of give you all an idea of what has happened throughout these past 10 months. New changes, how's the community looking, stuff like that. But
Uh,
enough of me doing an
well,
intro. We'll go ahead and get started.
excuse me. It has been 10 months, hasn't it? Yeah.
It has been
It'd
10
be
months.
it'd be our technically our first birthday, I guess.
Oh, wow.
In a couple of months' time, wouldn't it? Really?
Yeah,
Because
because
it was all private and behind closed doors for
about
about
18 months. Yeah.
24 months before that, before the great, and then like we refer to it as post growling sidewinder and the old days. Remember the old days?
That's when
And
everything started
sometimes,
taking off.
well, yeah, bloody hell, we went from what 70 people to 1,500
Yeah, I mean, it
very, very
skyrocketed.
quickly.
See people
And
coming in
then
every single day.
yeah, I think there's just shy or just over 1,900 people in the Discord at the minute.
Jesus
Uh,
Christ.
uh, They're not all engaged, and they're not all playing, and they're not all qualified. I think we've got about 250 people qualified. I think.
Well, we can get to that in a little bit, but first of all, let's just talk about dynamic server. When it comes to DCS, what makes that different compared to your normal multiplayer servers? Just throwing it out there, like Hogget, 107th, trying to think of some other groups, Growling Sidewinders themselves. What makes this XSAF dynamic server different from all the rest?
Well, let's forget the XSF thing for just a sec, because I mean I've actually never played many other servers at all, apart from my own and some training servers. I don't know too much about the other stuff, but from what I understand and how I would probably describe a dynamic is things are written in a way where if A happens or B happens, then C happens, and if this is triggered, then this sequence of events is triggered. So everything is predetermined. You can add randomality to that, but ultimately you have to write out that whole sort of A to Z structure,
Mm-hmm.
and that what I would call a non-dynamic server, even though it has sort of dynamic elements to it. You can start then adding on top of that, I guess, randomality within randomality to create more dynamism. Is that a word?
We can go with that.
Yeah, okay. And then maybe start sort of coding more a mission as an object, and then instead of things running from A to Z, you might jump around from F to B to S to U, and add more dynamism in that kind of way. But
Okay.
still, it's scripted.
Okay.
Um,
I actually didn't know that. That's interesting.
yeah. Well, mate, don't get me started talking about code. I will be here forever.
Well, we can talk about another section, but
But
essentially, if from the layman's understanding, basically, it's still all scripted. It's still run by code, but how the code
yes,
responds to certain triggers is more
yes,
refined than what you would see on some other servers.
yeah. So then,
Okay.
so then, let's take my server in that sort of context. My server doesn't have any triggers or any sequences of events. That's kind of grey. It doesn't
Hmm.
really have any sequences of events that if this happens, then this happens, and it will always happen in this way at this point. Even nothing's like wrote down, but it might happen over here or in a random zone or nothing like that in my mission. Basically, the code is written in a way I treat everybody calls it Skynet. I never
Yes,
named it
I've heard it
Skynet.
referred to that before.
Yeah, there was, and I think it was just sort of the Terminator reference, really, and the fact that it might kill us all one day if it ever finds a way out of DCS. So I refer to Skynet as a thing. So I teach Skynet how to code herself at runtime. It's really difficult to explain, but basically, I give her tools, and around those tools, she can use those against a set of rules, and she uses those to achieve goals that I've told her to achieve. And nothing in the way that she makes her decisions is predetermined. Everything is determined by herself based on a massive data set
Okay.
that she collects to put into the rules that then enable the tools. So, for example, a tool could be, this is how you spawn a helicopter. And another tool could be, this is how you make a helicopter that you've spawned do a thing. And then that's it. And then there'll be rules around that. So she'll know when she's allowed to spawn a helicopter, or where, or in what circumstance, or when she should and when she shouldn't,
And
at a kind
so
of macro level.
for
So,
example, you're saying she has to follow certain rules, or she knows, or she's taught how to respond. So let's say we only have 5 people, you won't see as much enemy error as you would if 20 people are on the server. So she gauges how things are going on in the server and is able to respond appropriately.
yes. Yeah, I mean, because I think some people tonight have found it a bit challenging, and I took Muttley aside, actually, and said, listen, right, I've been watching for 4 hours, and it's not been challenging. These guys have not worked together, and Skynet has done her best to distract them
Hmm.
and fuck them from behind, right? And I tried to actually explain how, and the balancing thing, and I said, so I'm happy with the balance, right? So
Hmm.
it's more nuanced than that. The more players in the server, the server difficulty and challenge will ramp up.
Hmm.
But at the same time, we also need to keep the performance of the server so that everybody can continue playing without
Right.
any stutters or NetSync issues or desyncs or disconnects and things like that. So she also has access to all of the hardware on the server, and as she performs all of her sort of tasks, she'll keep an eye on how that affects the load of the CPU and RAM and all that kind of thing, and network load. And if she feels that she's pushing the server too hard, she'll also ramp back on that as well to keep everybody's experience as best it can possibly be.
Hmm.
She's not instant. Nothing in here is magical. Everything has to have an A to V. Nothing pops into existence and nothing pops out of existence. So if we've had 20 people in the server, and there's an appropriate amount of challenge and air and stuff going on, if 10 of those quickly leave, then Skynet will go, I need to ramp back down again. But she won't pop things out of existence. She'll bring them home or retask something in the air to do something else
Hmm.
that reduces that kind of challenge. So it's very, very nuanced, and the math behind it's quite cool. I can't claim to have done all the math myself. Actually, JJ showed me how to do some of the
And JJ is also a
pretty
member
fancy
of
stuff.
the group as well. JJ is correct.
Yeah, JJ Bloon is he's been here since pretty much the beginning.
Hmm.
So he's one of the senior squadron
Squadron
commanders.
commander. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So speaking like JJ and a couple other people, you're mentioning before that a lot of people haven't learned to play together, haven't learned how to play together quite as well as some of the normal guys, because we have seen an influx of newer people actually talking and trying to get on. Brings up the question: how does someone join the server and the Discord? Is it open to all? Do we have to do an interview process? Is it kind of like you have to prove yourself or qualify? How does that work for someone who's looking to actually join the group?
The premise for me from the beginning was always very, very simple. It's open to all.
Hmm.
Anyone can join. The Discord link is available in many places. You can come and get involved. We have to have some kind of structure. I think. Am I allowed to swear on your stream?
Yeah. Just
Cool.
no hardcore stuff, of course.
Okay. I don't think this is hardcore. So we had this general rule, which is no dickheads.
Yeah.
only good people. Yeah. So in the early days when we were sort of closed, we did open the doors a little bit, and if they weren't good people, we got rid of them, right? So we have to have this rule structure, which I guess is a bit of a barrier to entry. We are actually going to look at that again, but the Discord is free to join to anyone. We're actually part of Discord's discovery program as well, so you don't even have to have a link. You can just search for XSAF through Discord and find us, join us. There's no restrictions. When you join, there's a set of rules, and there's a couple of things that you have to read to understand, because this isn't a normal DCS server. And there's a couple of things that there's only a couple of, well, there's only really one thing that we enforce, and that is that you must be in the Discord. And some people take a bit of an issue to that, but I'll explain why that is in a moment. But no, it's completely open to all. There is no interview process. Anyone could come in. There's two missions that run Sierra, which is 24/7, open to anyone. We have process of qualification, but we're not a wing. We're not a Milsim group. There's no commitment here. If you want to come in for half an hour every other month, or you want to come in for several hours every couple of days, it doesn't really matter. There's no expectation on anyone to do anything in this server. Just come in, have fun, and go out. As long as you provide a positive, you have a positive action on the mission, then everything's all good. The qualification process itself, there's no check rides. There's plenty of us in here, and we all know and we all understand we want good people, right? And
And
most of the people that come here are good people.
when you say good people, you're
So
not talking about skill. You're just talking about attitude. Just bring a good
I'm talking
attitude.
about really good attitude, really great attitude, understands the premise of what this is, because it's not a normal DCS server. This is a campaign, and our last campaign ran for a month and a half. We were at war with Skynet for a month and a half. So people need to understand that their actions have consequences, not just now, down the line. The whole sort of limited asset aspects and logistical aspects of all this. I don't think there's any other server out there like this. But like I said, I've not played other servers, but that's just what people tell me.
And I will say
Um,
this. I will say this
mm,
to interject there. I do, for fairness, for my YouTube channel, I try to get footage on other servers. I frequent Hogged. I try 107th. And they're not bad. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trashing any other server. That's not the point of what I'm trying to say. I actually want the opposite. I want to showcase what different kind of groups there are, what kind of different servers. But I'll be honest, I come back to XSAF more often than not, and most of my videos are here because I always have a great time. And that's not just in terms of, oh, I played real bad, or it was a rough night getting shot down, or anything. It's just people are talking, people are communicating, and that's
yeah,
what makes DCS so much more immersive and fun. Not just for PvP, but we just do PvE, and it's the most fun I have.
that's cool. Yeah, it's good feedback. Thanks, and it's a compliment, man. I like the reason I don't actually play much. It's rare when I get in. The only motivation for me to do this is watching other people. I mean, I could spend several. I mean, I just want to watch people enjoy it. Well, actually, I want to watch Skynet use it, and people enjoy the challenge. Trying to overcome it.
Right.
That's my motivation, man. So if people are unhappy, on my servers, it makes me unhappy, and
Well,
I
we
take
also have
everyone's.
we have a feedback channel for that and everything as well, and requests and all
Yeah.
that. So it's not like you're running it with an iron fist. Your goal right now is just make it fun for people.
Oh fuck yeah! I know
Yeah, yeah.
this is not run with an iron fist at all. A bit of a misconception with the rules and the joining and stuff, because it's written. We have to have structure. Yeah, it's
It's a
written
cover your
in a
ass
bit of a way that
situation.
does come across sometimes as a bit like, yeah, we're gonna bring down the banhammer real quick if you don't do what we fucking say. But once you get talking to people, that's not what we do at all. So we'll look at that. But yeah, the only prerequisite is you've got to be on Discord, because I don't use SRS.
Hmm.
Most of the time, I'm not in the game. I'm not in the game right now. I know what's going on in my server just by looking at this screen.
Hmm.
I can tell what you're doing, what everybody else is doing, just by looking at that screen. So I need to be able to communicate with someone in the server if I want them out, if I want them to stop doing what they're doing, or you know what I mean. I
Yeah.
mean, it's easier. I mean, I don't really care if people come in here and mute themselves,
Hmm.
as long as they're there for me to communicate with. Otherwise, I have to start sending messages through the console to them, and then if they ignore that, I've got to kick them, and then that feels awful. You know, so the only
It's all for the
prerequisite.
sake of making sure things run smoothly. And if we run into a hang up, we can quickly find out why.
Yeah, and you
Hmm.
know, the last couple of nights we've done a reboot. You know, we do a reboot fairly often, and it's
Hmm.
about being able to communicate that with people, because if someone's not in Discord and they're doing their own thing, and also this is designed to be a teamwork thing. You don't come in here and do your own thing. Like tonight, the example for tonight has been perfect because there hasn't been much teamwork tonight,
Yeah.
right? And Skynet has fucked you up, right? Because there's been a lack of communication and strategy tonight.
Hmm.
I feel no one took charge. Everybody did a bit of their own thing. Skynet fucked you up.
Yeah.
And if you're not in Discord to communicate, then the server doesn't work. You know, no one will win, and everybody will come in here and go, "Wow, yeah, that's too hardcore. It's too shit." They
And
have to work
it's
together
not like
cohesively.
people are given that designation of, hey, you need to lead. It's you want to do it, you want to take up the mantle, and if you're able to do it, by all means, it gives you a lot of opportunity to become a leader for that group if you're adept at it.
Yeah, and if you're in here to communicate and you want to do A10 shit,
Right.
you need someone covering you, and you need you need to be able to communicate what you're doing to other people so that they can try and help you achieve what you want to do.
Hmm.
Because there ain't no way you're coming in here with an A10, not communicating with anyone
Yeah,
and
you're gonna have a bad time.
striking anything, because
Yeah.
you'll be dead very quickly.
Yeah. SU-27s and SU-33s and Jeffs. I don't like 'em much some nights for sure. But
People actually, you know, when the Growling Sidewinder video came out, we had MiG 31s in, and
hmm.
they've not been in for a very long time because people became got to hate them so much I had to take them out. But yeah, I think the AI version 4, as it's sort of creeping in, actually some of the most of the air assets
Hmm.
have some of the version 4 AI in them now, and I've seen them game very, very good. Not just at being effective at achieving their mission, but avoiding being killed by you.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant. Please
So
don't think I'm really super evil when I laugh, but you know,
no.
I get real great enjoyment out of watching the war. Really.
So just talking about the MiG 31s, and since the Growling Sidewinders video and everything, like you said before, you jumped from like 200 people to over 1,900 over the past 10 months. When it comes to that, we're both seeing the server in terms of performance, in terms of features and everything, along with the community growing. And, we see our regulars, we see newcomers, some of the newcomers become regulars, so on and so forth.
Yeah,
What really have we seen change wise in the past 10 months on both sides?
I think. Well, the leaders of the community have changed. The
Mm-hmm.
community itself has changed, but this community has always been sort of shaped and driven by the people that are in it, and the regulars that are in it, and the people that want to take charge. There's no expectation on any of our leaders. You know, we've got the op lead and the admins
Mm-hmm.
and stuff. There is only an expectation on the people that are in the administration roles that they make sure that we follow Discord's rules and we don't get a slap on the wrist.
Right,
There's
right.
no expectation on anyone. Anyone can step up and take a leadership role, and I think that's what's really sort of great about our community, because it's not authoritarian. We don't have ranks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, someone with a higher rank than you may in a mission, just by virtue of experience with
Right.
Skynet, you know, task you or ask you to do something. If they're not polite, tell them to fuck off. But it's not a rank and file kind of structure. Everybody's equal here. You
Mm-hmm.
know, even the newcomers. You know, as long as you show that you understand the mission and you're making a positive action, then
And so you can be like me and get shot down 3 times in a night, but as long as you're trying to help and you're not
yeah,
causing
but
people problems.
you're not the worst at that. I think Nomad has definitely got that
Oh
moniker.
man, but Nomad
Nomad
puts
is very good
so
at
much into
dying.
it. Ugh.
Yeah, Nomad is very good at dying though.
Uh,
Seriously.
Talking about the community though, well, we just talked about community. Let's talk about some more of the features. Like recently, the one that comes to my mind automatically is you're trying to refine or redesign the Escort system. Like, is there
Yeah.
anything else that's really you've implemented within the past 10 months
Well,
along those lines?
well, the thing is, I mean, this is. I mean, sometimes it's become more than a hobby, really. It's
Mm-hmm.
become an obsession. Everything that this game, all the code base, all of the methodologies of how everything's run and done since sort of the ground inside in the last 10 months, and the ground inside, I know it's all changed. Everything's changed.
Mm-hmm.
We've binned things, we've made things afresh. I mean, I think Skynet was like version 2 back then, and then 3 or 4 months after Grounded, it went to version 3, and that was a massive step up. Skynet got really crazy good. The thing is, because this is a perpetual war, and it lasts around a month.
Mm-hmm.
People can get fatigued if it's the same all the time. You couldn't just keep playing this over and over again. You'd just get bored of it. So it has to keep developing and changing, and that might be in small ways or big ways. You mentioned escorts. We were probably one of the first servers ever to have anything like that in a multiplayer environment, an escort. But it was very, my skill level back then wasn't great.
Mm-hmm.
It worked. It had its quirks. Once it left you, it was, decided it wanted to do something else.
Yeah.
You struggled getting it back. Unless it was a helicopter, they were actually really easy to control. But, uh, mate, I don't know how long you want me to talk about this. The escorts that are
No, no,
coming
you're
now, they're
good.
actually out in early access for the patrons. So when I'm developing a module, when it's sort of set at 75% ish, I give it to patrons to use, and they can feedback and help me develop it further. Because obviously, like I said, I don't actually fly, and there's only so far I can test. So the V3 escorts
Mm-hmm.
um, are are written in a way that Skynet is written, but in a mini way.
Right.
So they have their own brain, and they are very specialist. So there's only two that you can have at the moment, because it's in early development. So let's just say they talk about the F-15E. So a little bit of air-to-air, very very wide ranging, ground strike ordnance. The escorts are completely and utterly persistent throughout an operation. So they'll be very expensive, but once you've bought one, it's yours, and it'll have a life bar. Once its life bar is depleted, you can buy more life for it, so it won't ever disappear. But it'll also have an experience and a level,
Mm-hmm.
and as it does more positive things, it'll gain more experience, gain more levels, and that'll open up more opportunity and more capability within it.
Mm-hmm.
Either by communication to you, or the ability to give it different ordnance or different tasks or different things like that. So you can have it stick by your side like a golden retriever, or you can give it a mission and you say, I want you to go do this, and a very granular mission, not just go over there. And I don't I, I don't want to give too much away with it, because most of it's sort of not written in stone yet,
Mm-hmm.
and subject to change, I guess. But
So
there'll be
what?
there's a specialist
Right.
aircraft for each one of the roles. So the 15E will be a little bit of air to air, very very good at ground striking. Then we've got a tornado in there, okay at ground striking, but he can specialize anti-ship and seed. And we'll have the 15E, a little bit of ground strike, and very very good at air to air. Then we've got the helicopters.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have an attack helicopter, CAS helicopter. We'll have a logistics helicopter. So some of the fixed wing guys who don't do helicopter stuff can buy their own helicopter escort and task him to go and build things,
Right.
just like a player would. And as this escort, lives with you and gains more experience, it'll get better and more capabilities, even to the point where, because you're only allowed one at one time, and if you want to swap it out and you've spent 3 weeks leveling this escort up and now he's really awesome, you can sell him to another player, or you can put him on a marketplace, build a marketplace, you pop him in there, and if another player wants an escort, they don't have to start again. They could buy your escort that you've leveled up, because you now want some other different escort, the different speciality and stuff.
So basically, there's no requirement to fly. Fly when you want, pop in when you want, have fun. There's no commitment requirement. However, you actually sitting in here and playing, you are rewarded in the long run. If you do well, you help. and you can
Yes.
spend points and everything.
Yeah. So we have a score and a score system's tied to a credit reward system,
Hmm.
and positive actions give you score. And it's this is also difficult to explain because there's quite a bit of math behind this. And actually, I wrote the algorithm for this so long ago I don't even understand the fucking equation anymore. But the more positive actions you do, the more credits you gain for doing that action. So you could just rock up and kill an aircraft and you might get 10
Hmm.
credits. But if you've already killed 200 aircraft, next time you kill an aircraft, because the more positive actions you've done, the reward is higher. So you might get 50 credits.
Hmm.
And it's the same for, moving logistics and doing anything positive towards the goal of achieving the death of Skynet. And similarly, if you do negative actions, kill, blue on blue and
Right.
trash your airframe and stuff like that, then that has a detrimental effect on. Someone refer to it as a credit score, which I think is quite apt. So the higher your credit score, the more you're rewarded, and you
Okay.
can use those credits to, like I said, buy escorts, um,
So talking about
do
all
other things.
that, uh, we talk about our server. However, we actually run two. We both have our Sierra and our Alpha. Care to explain what the difference is between the two?
Sierra's open to all. There's no structure, but it's a team game. Play like a team and communicate. However, um, Alpha is more or less the same code. There's a couple of things that are sort of player aids that are disabled in Alpha, and Skynet's CPU is upgraded. Let's say it's easier to explain it that way. So Skynet's a little bit more aggressive, and she thinks a bit faster, and she's got more threads to process more tasks simultaneously.
So you
And
say
Alpha,
Alpha's more along the lines of you have to be in a coordinated group or else you're going to fail even more compared to Sierra.
yeah, and so the challenge is higher in Alpha,
Hmm.
but Alpha is also heavily planned, and we have a plan going into Alpha. SRS is enforced. We're like I said, we're not a mill sim, but people like that aspect as well. So once a week we have a very structured, um, very mill sim type mission with a plan, an objective. We have a human GCI, the whole 9 yards, and that is our showcase. Yeah, every week, once a
Hmm.
week, that's our showcase mission. And to be in that mission, you must be qualified. We spoke about
Right.
that earlier. There is no process to become qualified. Just come and play Sierra, and you'll get noticed very quickly. Because if you understand the mission and you're good people, you've got the right attitude, you will just be given the qualification status because we can see that we want you to be around. And once you have that qualification status, you are allowed to sign up for Alpha.
Okay.
Like I said, we've got about 250 ish, I don't know, 300 qualified people, but there's 28 slots in Alpha.
Right.
Um,
It's very first come first serve.
yeah, so
Yeah.
we have a registration process for that. So it's easier for us to plan and things like that.
Hmm. Talking about the dynamics and everything, we also have something that I've noticed a lot of servers don't. I do see Hoggit trying to implement it, but in a different way. Logistics. How does that
Okay,
work, and what makes it more immersive slash strategic when it comes to how we operate on Sierra specifically, but also Alpha?
okay. Let's talk about Alpha because everything's open on Alpha to everyone.
Hmm.
Um, all of the air just for my sanity, all of the air bases start with is it 40? I don't know. There is a n number of weapons,
Hmm.
10 airframes I think, apart from the carrier groups which have a little bit more of each, and a varying amount of fuel depending on the size of the base and where it is.
Hmm.
There is no
There's no
magical
magic.
DCS.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no magical DCS moving logistics about. It's all down to you. So if we talk about Alpha, for example, all of the airframes at the start of the mission are at Akrotiri. There are some helicopters scattered about just because we usually play 3-4 hours and it's not really fair to make one person sit in a helicopter to fly from A to B for 4 hours of the mission. They want to have fun as well. So there's some helicopters scattered about, but all of the fixed wings are on the carrier groups and
Mhm.
an Aqua series. So that's where we start
But people
in this
who,
particular.
if they don't want to
Um,
exactly do the combat stuff, they are more than welcome to actually just play their time just running logistics if that's something that
oh
fancies
yeah,
them.
shit. No, if we don't have logistics, we don't have a mission.
Hmm.
It's simple as that.
So it's actually
If we
encouraged
do,
if you can find someone who likes logistics, they can go hog wild with it.
yeah, I mean, this
Hmm.
is the place. If you like doing the helicopter logistics, this is the place to come to do that. If we have an alpha, and this is why we have the sign up, and we don't have enough helicopter logistics, we'll call it off. And that's why sometimes you see we either say, okay, we're having an open Sierra night, or we're skipping this week, because logistics are key to the mission. You know,
Hmm.
helicopters are key to they make the factories that make the weapons that the fixed wing guys and themselves use. They make fuel by making the oil pump drill things. They move logistics from base to base.
But they also have to
Um,
deliver assets, so they'll have to deliver
exactly.
crates, build defenses, build or transport Bradleys, tanks,
Oh yeah.
infantry. So not only do we have to get weapons and stuff, we also have to worry about building up our defenses and not expecting them to just magically appear.
Oh yeah, hell yeah, 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 definitely.
Hmm.
So there is no button the way you can just go, I want air to air site here. Someone physically has to build that, choose where it needs to go. If it I mean, Red 4 will kill the radars on it eventually, sooner rather than later, probably.
Hmm.
So they'll also have to repair that and keep that repaired. So in Alpha, because we said that's our structured mission. Usually, each helicopter guy will be sort of assigned a base. That's your base, and make sure that base is well looked after. Stocked, and everything's repaired, and all the defenses are ready just in case Skynet decides to turn up on our doorstep and things. And on top of that, because every airframe and Syria, this map is fucking huge.
Hmm.
Because every airframe starts at Akrotiri, I think there's actually some Lanaka as well. You have to move those airframes from where they started from to where they're needed.
Hmm.
So you can take the F-16 that you had in Akrotiri, and now all of the AO is no longer on Cyprus. Cyprus is secure, let's say, and the AO is actually over in Hama. So you can take your F-16 and you can land it at Hama, you park it in a parking spot, and you can save it there. So this is my F-16, and it's now at Hama, and this is not done magically through a restart. It's done live in the mission. That guy could go log out, crash, take a piss, go have something to eat, come back an hour later, get back in his F-16 at Hama.
Right, right.
And also, anybody else in the mission can also get in his F-16 that he's now saved at Hama if he so says,
And not
people
to
can.
mention that, but we also just kind of throwing this out there. It's nice to be in the groove of being able to start up your airframe, get it ready, go for the immersion. But also sometimes we just need a fucking scramble. So we also
Yeah.
have both cold start and hot start depending on what we have available.
The only thing we don't put in is the Su-25, just because frames.
Hmm.
Um, some of the Russian airframes, we got some FC3 stuff in. Um, the only thing we don't put in is the Su-25, just because um, this is such a complex mission, and I think you need a bit of DC experience and
Right.
understanding before you come in here.
So
And the only reason we don't put
it's not like I can just download the game, hop in, here we are. Like we do expect
no,
you
because
do a little bit of practice
there's a
and be able to
TF-51 in
do
here, and that has a role,
it. Hmm.
but we don't put the Su-25 in. So no, you can't download the free thing and just come in here. Obviously, you need to purchase Syria anyway.
Right, right.
Um,
That's another big
but
entry thing
yeah,
too. Yeah.
but as long as you're competent with at least one airframe, that'll be available within the mission. And if it's not, you can request it, and if it's an airframe we can put in that fits, then yeah, you request it, you're competent with that airframe, we'll pop it in for you. If you want a Cold War airframe, you're not really going to have much of a great time because you'll just get shot down by a Phoenix, and
True.
you're never gonna know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there's airframes and helicopters pretty much. I mean, even when the Mosquito come out, we want to try and find a role for the Mosquito. I want to be able to allow players to paratroop units from the Mosquito. So that's on the list of things to do.
Mhm.
And when I say list, it doesn't exist in the material world. It's in my head. But yeah, just like in the Growling Sidewinder video, nothing's really changed in the fact that we need everyone to do every role, and that's from base, bar cap, helicopter, patrol around the base, from cap to cast to runway denial, strike, whatever you like doing. The role is here for you to do.
And
Definitely.
here, I think we answered question six, basically like new unique features that have been implemented. So I feel like we can skip that question. However, I want to look at the question after. We kind of delved on this, but a few things come on my mind. How is the player participation, or how is the player community as a whole on Discord and on the server? I feel like we mentioned before, we've shifted normals slash regulars and stuff, but seems like we have a healthy amount of players. It wanes a little bit depending on the season or holidays, but I think we're seeing more and more people, especially lately, just coming on, and I feel like it's been pretty healthy for the group.
I think the barrier to entry is always, on the face of it, looked quite high, and maybe
Hmm.
that puts people off. And we've got a lot of people in here that have come in here and never engaged. But I think once people get in the mission, like you say, it kind of sometimes ruins the other things that people play,
Hmm.
especially if coming from single player as well. Having this sort of camaraderie and community experience and team experience, it's addictive. If you have a question to ask and you don't, someone will answer it for you, and everyone is here to support everyone else, or else they'll get a PM from me or someone else
Yeah.
um, to tell them to change their mindset, because
Uh,
that's not how we are here.
Something
This is a
that's
really, really cool community, and I am super, super proud of everyone who plays it, who's helped build it, who helped runs it. Some of the people here I've genuinely grown to love, and some of the people here I've met in real life. Some of the people here I consider as close friends. The community's awesome.
Oh yeah, something that makes me laugh too, because whenever we look at the signups and stuff, especially when I jump on Sierra, I mean, I'm always like, my favorite thing is ground pounding. I love the A10, I love the F18, but almost every single time they're like, "Well, we need some cap,"
Yeah,
because I
yeah,
mean,
we always need
Skynet's a
that.
bitch, but
She is a
I
bitch.
have noticed that a lot of the group here like doing the strikes, but we're all capable. So maybe
Yeah,
cap isn't our absolute favorite for a lot of us, but you've gotten to the point where Ego Dynamics themselves have helped lend support for decoding and everything to help it make it work, correct?
no, I don't know where that came from.
Okay.
Um, there's certainly been an engagement with Eagle Dynamics, more so recent times than in the early days. I think it just got. I think it was. I'm not entirely sure where that. Ground Sidewinder mentioned. So he mentioned something in his video that I think people misconstrued,
Okay. Okay.
and then some people in the comments sort of took it like Chinese whispers. Um,
Okay. So
I've certainly had
for
engagement.
Americans, their Chinese Whisper is essentially a telephone game.
Yeah. So as it's gone from person to person, it's slightly changed, and I think the perception I see sometimes in some of the comments, I think the perception of this community of this mission is that Eagle Dynamics have helped, which they have not. All this code has been written by myself from the ground up.
Hmm.
The only thing that we use that I didn't write from the ground up is CTLD
Okay.
from Siri Bob, but that script we started with that 3.5 years ago, and
Hmm.
I've patched over that so much I couldn't drop whatever the latest CTLD is in this mission. It'll break everything. So even though that's his code, and I talked to Siri Bob, quite a lot. And when I was designing the logistics system, I had a real long chat with him, say, this is what I want to be able to do. Everybody says it's impossible. You can't amend things in warehouses live in the mission. Um, and I said, listen, right, I think I can. What would you have done? And we had a massive conversation about it. And I think I spoke to him recently as well when I finally achieved the sort of in-game client dynamic slot movement and creation, things like that as well. That's the only code in here that's not mine. Everything else is mine. Eagle Dynamics haven't contributed to that. However, we had discussions. I tried to engage them early days when I was trying to figure out how to do the warehouse. I had, but never really got anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I'm part of the closed beta team, so I provide feedback to them from a point of view of a developer and a server administrator. And we had some discussions recently because I'm really proud of the fact that even from the beginning, when I don't really understand DCS or even Lua at all, in the early days,
Mm-hmm.
I was really proud of the people because they mentioned that they would refer to the server as it runs like it's single player. And we've had engagement recently because, and if you look in the general chat, I posted an equation. Oh, and oh, I forgot. Yeah, you responded to that. So that equation,
Oh yeah,
um,
yeah. I know exactly which one you're talking about. Let me see if
yeah,
I can find it.
it's like the Drake equation. You know what the Drake equation is, don't you?
I
So
don't actually.
all right, okay. Let's not digress. If you fill in the coefficients and the data in that equation,
Mm-hmm.
even without running a mission, right, it'll tell you how bad or good your mission will perform,
Mm-hmm.
and it's fairly deathly accurate. And that's one of the tools that Skynet has herself. She'll fill in that equation based on what she's planning to do, because she's a goal-oriented system. She has a goal and she plans. She doesn't just do things there and then. She spends a lot of time thinking about what she's going to do. So she looks at, well, if I do that, then what does that look like on the server load? And that's one of the tools that she uses, that equation.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously she can just directly talk to the hardware on the server and verify, that she's not blowing the CPU up. But we've had some engagement quite recently. Some really positive engagement on trying to fill in some gaps in that equation when I was trying to sort of complete it. It's not fully complete. It's not 100%. It's probably about 98. There's still some gaps. So ED have been talking to me back and forth on that. And I think we had a discussion on maybe making a forum section dedicated to
Now, just to make sure I'm understanding
showing people.
correctly, who's the one that was helping you? I heard Syria Bob, and who's the one that you just mentioned?
Well, I've been talking to Ben Obi.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, from and then he's been relaying things back to the developers, coming back to me. So we were talking a little bit about, because I think what's see, I wouldn't shit on any server really.
Mm-hmm.
The more servers that are out there bring potentially more people to this game, and more people then potentially might come find my game, and I think the general sort of the general thought is that multiplayer's a terrible experience compared to single player, but it's not. Once you understand how your assets and how your actions and how you code and how all that comes together in a multiplayer environment and then gets distributed out to players to make everybody have the unified synchronized experience. Once you understand all that, if you don't understand that, then you have a crappy server, and then you're on the forums and you can't find an answer. So what I said to Eagle Dynamics is, I have all that knowledge and I really, really want to share it, because multiplayer is brilliant, and most of the people that play this game, I think I can't remember the percentage quoted, but it's quite high. I think it's like two-thirds or something like that, or play single player. They don't do the multiplayer experience
Mm-hmm.
because of this general conception that it doesn't perform well. Well, it can do if people have the knowledge on how to make it perform well, which is what I wanted to give to the community. But life commitments, family commitments, job commitments, this isn't
Mm-hmm.
what I do for a living. This is a
Right, right,
hobby.
right.
And also keeping this server running and developing and moving forward in the direction was just going to be probably too much. It's not off the table. We haven't discussed it for a little while, but it's still on the table. In the future, maybe have some kind of section on the forum that not only teaches people how to write Lua or script for DCS in the correct way. Right, so move on,
Okay, there you go.
seriously, or else I will chew your ears off.
No, no, you're good. I was going to ask you what some of the issues we've ran into, or specifically you, or what you worry about, but I feel like you've covered a good bit of it. I mean, overall, I think it's been a great interview, and basically, this has been a lot of work. It's not just from you, but from the community actually working together, learning how to play, and just overall having a good time. I do feel like personally, from what you said, shout out to Syria Bob, shout out to Obi, Ego Dynamics, definitely something to look into. Not necessarily taking away from it in terms of the product, but just seeing what can be done with DCS, not just single player, but also just bringing people together even more to make great communities.
Oh
But
yeah, I've definitely proved that you can do things in DCS that people think are impossible, and still to this day, if you go and ask the question, can you
mhm.
move a client slot? Can you change the warehouse? Can you, on the forums, if you ask the question now, someone will very quickly respond to you and say no. I got very obsessed with that at points in time. We've proved here that, and I say this to people a lot, right? When they start the sentence with, can you, and I'll usually interject and say yes. Just give me the idea, because I'm pretty sure it'll be possible in one way, shape, or form, as long as you just know how to do it and know how to write it in DCS, how DCS works and stuff. It's been a hell of a 10 months.
Oh, for sure. And it's been fun. I know you've spent quite a night discussing and having just a hell of a time trying to get everything out. But just the other night, I could tell he's going through a time. But I know
Oh
for
man,
certain when I say this, definitely thank you for everything that you've done for us here on the server. I know the guys really appreciate everything you do. And, definitely take care of yourself. But we know you're doing this to give us a better experience. And hopefully down the line, we can give other communities the same product and the same good time and the challenge. But we're actually getting
thanks man,
close
I
to the
appreciate
hour
that.
mark.
Yeah, so
We're
you've probably
getting
got a
close.
lot of editing to do.
Whew.
Um, yeah, I mean, I fucked up. I fucked up. Just to sort of close it off, though, I have fucked up at least twice, really, really bad, in the last 2 days. But the support I get from my community through direct messages or messages on Patreon board,
Mm-hmm.
or even even in public chat and stuff, I wouldn't have got this far, because I've had many of those days where I just think, wow, is this time to just walk away from this shit?
Right.
If I didn't have the support and the gratitude of everyone who comes to play here, then I probably wouldn't have got here. So thank you to you, and thank you to everyone who comes to play it and gets involved and contributes and is a member of our community as well. It's awesome.
Yeah. Well, guys, I think that was a good interview here. I think we've gotten a message across of what we've seen since the server and this community and the dynamic aspect has come into the limelight ever since Growling Sidewinder. So also thank you for Growling Sidewinder. But hopefully we'll get some more footage of us playing, and hopefully get some of you guys deciding to come on in and join us and have a good old time. But until next time, guys, this has been Natty Ice Gaming, special guest Pravus, the guy behind all of this fun stuff. And until next time, guys, hope you all have a good day.
Bye bye.